Hey everybody.
Hello. Alrighty, we're gonna let some people join on in. Just went live with Sarah Nadler. I'll introduce her in a second. Super incredible live that we're gonna be doing today. A lot of
It's
people
gonna be a
are
lot of
actually
fun.
joining. Exactly. Alrighty, we're getting a lot of people on. Actually, it's good.
Good. Hey guys. Yeah, anytime you go live with Ryan, you know it's gonna be a good time. I've watched
Same
some of
thing
his
with you.
videos. They're awesome.
I love it. Thank you so much for that. I think that's super cool. Alrighty,
Hey
cool.
everybody. Hello.
All right, why don't we go ahead and start, and then a lot of people will join back in or join on in, and then we'll go from there.
Sure, sounds like a plan.
Alrighty, cool. So, hi, and thank you so much for joining on in to the Truth Movement Talk Show. We're going to go over growth strategies and many other topics having to do with, small businesses and how to, how best to operate after COVID-19. Now, I'm introducing Sarah Nadler. She's a life coach, author. I think she's just the most incredible person. But that's just my view. That's just
Thanks,
my view.
Ryan.
But super great, and she's going to tell us all about it. She has this amazing PowerPoint in front of us. We're going to go over. Can't wait to hear from her. Hi, Sarah. Thanks so much for being on.
Thanks, Ryan. Hey guys. Yeah, so I'm a business consultant, I'm a life coach, but one of the things I focus on is growth strategies, meaning marketing, public relations, sales, because what I'm ultimately trying to accomplish is work life balance for my clients. And you can't have life balance if you don't have money, right? So, with everything that's been happening recently, this has definitely become a hot subject. I'm very excited to be with you guys today and talk about how to pivot your business if necessary, or really just get the ball rolling again, right? After everything that's going on. So we're gonna just cover some basics of marketing and PR and how I deal with it. So how does that sound, guys?
That sounds amazing to me. It sounds
Cool.
amazing to everybody else. A lot of people are joining on in. Thanks so much, guys. Alrighty, so we have this amazing chance, an exclusive opportunity to actually have a presentation done by Sarah Nadler on this live stream. I don't think this has ever been done before on the Truth Movements. Super amazing. And I do want to say everybody needs to just get like maybe a pencil or a pen or a piece of paper out, start taking notes. I think this is the most amazing thing that we can do right now at this moment, especially in the middle of the situation. I do want to just have Sarah give just a basic background of what she does, and then we'll just dive right on into it because I want you guys to have reality on it.
Sure, sounds good. Do you have any specific questions for me, Ryan, or should I just take it away?
Yeah, so basically the first question, well, the main question I would actually have for you is, um, what do you specialize in? What do you do, and what is your experience in handling these types of situations? Like, um, how would we like what should we know when we're listening to you? Like, what should we be guided to?
Sure. Okay, well, how I got started in this is a funny story, so I'll tell that one really briefly because I think it'll amuse people, if nothing else. Um, when I was 19, I was put in charge of I was working for a nonprofit organization, right, down in Los Angeles, and they came to me one day and said, hey, we need someone to help us open a new chapter up in Sacramento. Would you be interested in doing that? I was 19 years old, no attachments, and I went, sure, why not, right? I get up there, I walk in the door the first day, and reception goes, oh, you must be Sarah. Yeah, they're waiting for you. They? Who's they, right? So I walk into this room, and there is the leader of the international nonprofit organization in that room. And he turns to me and goes, oh, good, you're here. So we've got $250,000 in donations. We want you to use that to promote and advertise this new chapter. And my jaw just hit the floor. That's like the most money I'd ever seen or heard of in my entire life. And right, this was not a corporation. This was not money they had earned. This was money that had been donated, of people's hard-earned cash. They had donated
Wow.
the goodness of their hearts, right? So I felt like, Atlas, right? Like the world just settled on my shoulders, and it was the heaviest weight I'd ever had to hold. And luckily for me, there was a gal there who really knew marketing and advertising, and she took me under her wing, taught me everything. And we did end up using that $250,000 budget very wisely and got that place rolling. But that was an eye opener for me, my very first gig in advertising and marketing. So since then, I've done clients from across all kinds of industries, healthcare, doctors, dentists, optometrists. I've done wedding. I have my own wedding business on the side, so I've helped other wedding professionals build their business. I've done plumbers and HVAC and all kinds of stuff. And I've found that there are simple basics of promotion and marketing that work no matter what industry you're in. And I've been able to help a lot of my clients throughout this time period to either have highest ever numbers, or if they're completely closed, right, because they can't legally perform anything, to start shifting their mindset into an online mindset with everything that's going on right now. Starting Shopify stores and starting, getting their coaching going online instead of face to face. So I just wanted to give you guys some of the absolute basics that I have found just work across every industry. I know a lot of you are probably employees, and maybe this isn't something that is a dire need for you, but many of you are probably small business owners just like me. And I'm really excited to share this because normally only my paying clients ever get this training. So I'm doing this for you, Ryan, and for you alone. Only for you, and only this once.
Man, woo!
Yeah.
That is so cool. I actually have to say, I think that's really neat that you would actually, you do this on the truth movement, and I think I think it's so cool because it's like it's so neat because you actually have the tools and you have the knowledge, you have the certainty, and you know what you're talking about and you know what you're doing. And to have you on this show and to have you talking about what you've experienced and what you've done and what you know, and infusing us with the knowledge that we need, I think that's just incredible. And you have a great experience, and that story was just probably even one out of like millions that you have.
It was
Um,
wild, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not easy making $250,000 go right into anything, right? It's not easy. You have to be very, very, very precise in everything. And I think that's super cool that you even had that experience, and that's what really, started this whole entire thing from occurring, which is super great. So thank you so much, and I really do appreciate that. And I think that, oh yeah, people are smiling and they're giving you
Thumbs up.
applauses, and I think it's awesome. Here we go.
Thanks, guys. Cool. Well, should we launch into it? I think they're probably eager to hear what we have to say. So
I
what do you
think we
think?
should.
We just
Let's
roll.
hit it.
Okay. You want to hit the next slide for me, Ryan?
Let's do it.
Cool. All right. So the way I was taught, the way I do marketing and public relations, or any kind of growth strategy, I use a 4-step process, and you can see it right there on the screen if you squint. Right? So in case you can't actually read that, the first step is to analyze the business. And Ryan told me I had permission here to give a little shout out for my own business. I'm going to say I offer free marketing analysis for small business owners. So if you want help with this first step, you can reach out to me. Okay, Ryan, maybe you can put the link to my website at the bottom at some point. It's just my name, sarahnicolenadler.com. Okay, you guys can find it pretty easily.
Let's see if I can do a scroller while you're talking. Go for it.
Oh yeah, cool. Okay, so you want to analyze. You want to look at what you are doing, what you have done successfully in the past, and just looking for what assets. Yeah, that's right. He got it. What assets we have to promote the practice or to promote the business, right? Whether it be, do you have an email list? Do you have a giant banker box full of all the old addresses of your past clients, right? Like whatever you've got to work with, that's what we want to start with. So that's really important step, and I do that every single time when I start to build a promotional campaign, whether in my own business or for clients. We always analyze first. The next step is you have to get to know who you're talking to. Okay, now this is very important. The most effective way to do that is to actually get out there, right, and roll up your sleeves and survey your target audience, right? So let's say you're trying to sell shoes. Okay, well, everybody has feet, so we've got to break this down a little bit into who are you trying to talk to. Are you telling like really high end shoes to probably a more affluent demographic, or are you trying to sell children's shoes, which means you need to target parents? In my experience, probably moms are the ones who buy the most shoes for their kids, so we might be going after a age 25 to 45 or something like that woman. That would be your target market. So really nailing down who you're trying to communicate to, and then actually get out there and talk to those people. Because here's the number one mistake I see small business owners make. Are you ready? Write this down. It's trying to be understood by their audience instead of making their audience feel understood by you. When your audience feels understood by you, that's when they actually start to buy, right? So you have to listen. You have to get out there and ask them questions. And in a couple of minutes, I'll show you some examples of survey questions. But that's a really important step. Then after that, see, now that I know who I'm talking to and I've analyzed what I've got, right, in my toolkit, what assets, marketing assets I have with which to do this, now I can start to build. And when I say build, I specifically use that word because a lot of the times what I see small business owners doing when it comes to promotion and marketing or PR, right, even sales, is to grab what you've got, throw it up on the wall and hope something sticks, right? That is not the way to really use your money wisely, right? The best way to do it is to actually build a system. Here's where I want the client or customer to get to, right? Which is a sale. And here's where they are when they start out, which you found out from your surveys. And then building a system that gets them there step by step. When it's online, it's called a sales funnel, right? Sales funnel does not have to be a bunch of landing pages on ClickFunnels and emails and all this stuff. That stuff does work, but it doesn't have to be that, right? It could be sending them to a specific place on your website, which then convinces them to pick up the phone and call. Great, that's a sales funnel too. It's just the method that you get them from point A to point B. So once we've analyzed and we've surveyed, we really understand people, then we build a system to get them there, right? And then the last step is to automate. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on. If you go on Facebook and you're an entrepreneur, you'll get ads all the time. We can automate this, we can automate that. But you know what's wrong with automation is it doesn't come across realistic. It doesn't come across as genuine unless you've done the earlier 3 steps, right? If you have not actually gotten out and talked to your audience and you just try to automate instantly, they're going to feel like a robot's talking to them because guess what? It is. Right? So you have to actually get out there and know people and talk to them and get used to the system of walking them through step by step to a sale before you can automate successfully and not have it come across as, I am Sarah, would you like to buy something from me? Right? So that's my 4-step system. And obviously there's a technology that goes into each one of those steps, right?
Wow.
Brian, do we have any questions coming in from the comments so far? I want to answer people's questions as we go along.
I have a bunch of smiley faces and loves, which is perfect. I also have my friend just sent my friend just sent me a text. He's watching it. He's actually asking me if you have any suggestions in terms of doing surveys.
Yeah, sure. So when I survey, there's a couple of different ways. First of all, if you're aware of the tone scale, right, which is it's a scale with which you can recognize the emotional state of people. If you're super familiar with that, then you want to find, right, because emotion is how people connect with you. So you want to figure out where they're at emotionally, right? That's what we're looking for in this survey. And then we're also looking for keywords, hot buttons, things that would make someone react, right? So ask questions about that. Like, let's say, again, we'll come back to our shoe store. I decided I want to sell shoes. Sell shoes. I want to sell shoes. Yeah. So let's take that target demographic I said before of moms, right? Moms with school-age children who they might be buying shoes for. Good. So I might go out there and go, hey, How many times a year do you buy shoes for your kids? What are your deciding factors when you're buying a shoe, right? Um, you know, obviously for a lot of moms, it might be things like wear and tear. It could be, will the child actually wear them? How comfortable are they? My mom always used to buy me shoes that were half a size too large because she got tired of me growing out of my shoes all the time, right? So like I would go out and actually start understanding that market and ask them questions. You don't have to do these surveys face to face. I always try to do at least a few face to face because it'll give you a good sense of who they are and what they actually genuinely think. And then I can formulate some questions based off of my original interviews and then just send that out on SurveyMonkey or send it out in an email and get the rest of my responses. I usually go for at least 30 or 50 replies so that I have like a good slice of the pie, right?
Oh,
Enough quantity to really get an idea of what the majority reaction to shoes is. Does that make sense?
that makes total sense to me. Let me see.
Cool. Cool. All right. If you want to hit the next slide, I can.
I'll text him. I just texted him back. Let him know.
Okay. We'll see what he says.
Next slide. Ta-da!
Ta-da.
Perfect.
Okay. So here's another common mistake I see. This is mostly made by brand new businesses, but I see it all the time with established businesses too, is they're really focusing heavily on paid advertising and they're not looking at public relations and how powerful of a tool that can be to get new clients and customers, right?
Yeah.
Now, Al Rees and Jack Trout were these really well-known advertisers back in, I think it was the 70s in New York City. And they wrote a book. Well, actually, it started out as a newspaper article called The Positioning Era Cometh, right? But they're really considered to be the founding fathers of the positioning era, which is this era of marketing that we're in right now, where there's so many messages on the same topic, so many brands trying to sell the same thing, that you really have a hard time penetrating through all that noise sometimes, right? And they developed technology to penetrate through that and actually get your message across to people. And one of the things they said was that public relations plants the seed and advertising harvests the crop. Now, I'm not a farmer, but I'm pretty sure it's hard to harvest the crop you have never planted. Right? So if you really think about that, could you hit the next slide for me, Ryan?
Yeah.
If you really think about that, right? Like you're pouring all this money into paid advertising, but you've never, ever you never planted the seeds in people's minds of who you are and why they should trust you. Now, I don't know if you guys can see me. I'm going to come a little closer so you can see this, but there's actually a trust scale when it comes to promotion and advertising. Okay. And it looks like this. Can you guys see my little fingers here?
I can.
Okay, good. At the bottom of this trust scale is things you say about yourself. Okay. You can talk all day long about yourself, but it's at the bottom of the trust scale, right? Because strangers don't have a reason to trust you yet. Next on the trust scale are things your customers and clients say about you. That's why it's so great to get reviews and testimonials, because people trust those more than they trust what you say about yourself. But guess what? There's one above that. It's called third-party endorsements. It's when other people who have no vested interest in saying anything nice about you say something good about you. So that would be like getting your name published by Forbes magazine, or getting an article on or getting an interview on TV, or having Ryan tell people how awesome Sarah is. Hint, hint, right, Ryan? So here's the exact quote, right? The truth is, advertising cannot start a fire. Think about that, right? It can only fan a fire after it has been started. To get something going from nothing, you need the validity that third-party endorsements bring. So validity, like how do I know? How am I going to prove to people that I can do what I say I can do, right? I could demonstrate it. Like that's this right here. That's why webinars work so well, is because it's a demonstration of competence. And you either at the end feel like the person demonstrated competence and you buy from them, or you don't, right? In which case you don't buy from them. That's why webinars work. But at the same time, wouldn't it be nice if instead of having to talk about it yourself, you got someone else to talk about how awesome you are? And people will believe that more than they believe anything you say about yourself. Okay. So that's
Wow.
the power of getting yourself in newspapers and all these other places. It's not because the media always tells the truth. That has nothing to do with it. Right? They really don't. but but it's that third party endorsement that kind of naturally people tend to believe it because they go, well, why would they have said it? Right? Why would they have said it? Which is again why the truth movement is so powerful, because there's been so many lies by the media that people believed just because it was the media, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes it's an interesting factor. You got to balance those two. You know, do you want to support that system or not? Well, at the same time, do you want to make money or not? Right. So in my mind, when I am positively creating public relations, I'm okay with it 100%. I'm just never okay with being the effect of public relations. So it's better to know how to cause good public relations for yourself, right?
Wow.
However you feel about the media, if you hate TV, you hate radios, you hate talk shows, it doesn't matter. Be causative in everything you do in business, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that viewpoint, and I love
Yeah.
that. It totally makes sense. And I've never really thought of it that way. Putting, of course, I've probably thought about it like a couple of times, but not like fully, not thoroughly.
Sure.
In terms of putting myself out on the media. I get a lot of bloggers blogging about me, but that's
Right.
that's all you get.
But that is a third party endorsement too. And for a lot of small businesses, when they first start out, it is the podcast interviews, it's the bloggers. And when you get enough of that and you keep pitching, right? And we'll talk about pitching in a minute, but you keep pitching to the bigger ones, like keep writing to HuffPost, keep writing to Forbes, keep writing to ABC News. And eventually, right, someone will pick you up. And it's a bit of a snowball effect where you just got to get that one interview, right? You get that one, and then all of a sudden it's like lemmings. Everybody wants to jump off the cliff and interview you too. So it's really worthwhile when it's done correctly.
I love
Okay, you
that.
want to hit the next slide for me, Ryan?
Yeah, that's totally life changing right there.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Okay, so I always say when you're trying to get new customers and clients, there's really three important systems, and they're actually sequential, meaning you want to do them and use them in this sequence. So, first, put in your public relations system, right? Learn this technology, learn how to pitch stories, learn how to write articles and stories, learn how to write blogs, and get your name into these other publications. Once you've got that rolling, then you want to start with internal promotion, right? Like tell your network, tell your mom, right? Like get your friends talking about your business. And then once you have customers, ask them for referrals, right? We call it prospecting at the close, meaning the moment you have finished closing that person or when you finish the job you've done for them, ask them, is there anyone else that you know who could use a haircut or like whatever it is that you do, right?
Yeah.
That is your second thing, is internal promotion. And again, a lot of the times that's free, right? So notice public relations is totally free. Internal promotion is totally free. Then and only then you start actually advertising. Now you have a powerful system, because when people see your ad, they're a lot more likely to click on it if they already know your brand and know your name, right? Like
Yeah.
I actually don't like Coca-Cola, but let's just be honest. If you had two ads in front of you, one was for Coca-Cola and one of them was for Hoopty Loopty Lopty Loppy drink, you don't even know what that is or who made it or what's in it. So you're probably more likely to go with the one you recognize, right? So
Wow.
that's the power of doing the system this way, is just get brand recognition out there and get people to know, like, and trust you, and then try to sell them something, right?
That is beautiful. Wow. That's just. I'm making notes over here too while you're.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, if I can do anything to expand the truth movement, believe me, I am there 100% because I believe in what you're doing, Ryan. It is so powerful and so needed, right?
Thank you so much.
It's
I
true.
honestly think you're just amazing. It's so cool.
All right, you want to hit the next slide for me?
Let's do it.
Thanks, man. Okay, so here's a couple other methods of getting public relations happening, right? Like I said before, networking. And again, I'm going to have to squint. I can't even read this. Yeah. So here's a great example of this. One time, I'm a book reader, right? I'm an author, but I also love reading books. And I loved going to Barnes and Noble back when you could. And so one time I'm sitting in Barnes and Noble in the little cafe, right? Reading this book I just bought. And there's this guy over there in the corner. He's got dreadlocks. He's like kind of hip looking, African American looking guy. And he's really, really just having a great time reading his comic book. What was it? It was Full Metal Alchemist. Okay. Now, if you know anything about anime, that's like some hardcore anime right there. And when I was a teenager, I loved anime. So to see this grown man reading this comic strip and just cracking up and like really obviously enjoying it, I just loved that, right? So finally, after like the third time he interrupted my reading by laughing really loudly, I look over and I'm like, that's really awesome. I love that comic book. And he apparently liked the fact that I'd said that, so he started talking to me. Come to find out, he's the editor of one of the local newspapers here.
Whoa.
Okay, so like this just gives you the idea of how powerful it is to reach out to the people in your environment and start conversations, right? Like that is real networking. I don't like icky networking where you go and you sit in Starbucks and you just wait for someone to come in so you can like try to sell them something. That to me is a little icky. When I think of networking, I like to do networking by just being an outgoing person. And I know that that's easy for me to say because I'm an extrovert, right? If you're an introvert, I totally understand this is not going to be your method of getting your business going. But if you happen to have that skill and ability to just communicate, right? Just do it. Because guess what? I've been published in that newspaper now 3 times. Just because I, liked Full Metal Alchemist and got in touch with him and then told him about my book, and then he asked for a copy and I shipped him a copy and then he read it, and right, like it just kind of went on from there. So
wow.
really, there's a lot of power in networking, and I think that we don't do it enough in the right way, right?
Wow, it's powerful.
Yeah,
That's
crazy
incredible.
stuff. Yeah,
that's
totally.
incredible.
So then the second way to really get that message across and get those third-party endorsements, of course, is pitching your story. So there's a couple of ingredients you need if you want to pitch a story. And believe it or not, I actually have templates and examples and all kinds of stuff that are available for free download on my website. So again, just jump on over there if you want. But the basic principle of it is to come up with something that's newsworthy, right? Something that actually, like, something that sounds like something you would have read in the news. And then actually pitch it to different places. Like, pitch it to your local news station, pitch it to a radio station, talk show, right? Like, actually get your communication out to these places. Because believe it or not, we often think that, I'm just ordinary Joe, I can't be in the news. But you have to realize that those editors and those newspaper reporters and people like that are literally being paid to write stories. And just like you and I have writer's block some days, so do they. So when they get a really cool story on their plate, they're usually quite grateful, actually. They go, oh, thank goodness, I don't have to think of something to talk about today to actually keep my job, right?
Oh, wow. Do you have like an advice? Do you have like advice to anybody who's like has that and they're like, they like have that like idea, they want to like send something out? Like, do you have a certain way that you send things out to make it appealing? Or
I do actually. If you hit the next slide, I think I have an example. Let's see if it's there. Nope, it's not. I must have taken it out. Okay, so the first piece of advice I have for you, if you want to start doing this seriously, is create what's called a media kit for yourself. And you can just Google this and it will pop up what's a media kit, right? And like I said, I have templates on my website you can download if you want for free. But this is basically, a professional headshot of you, right? A little bio about who you are and why anyone would want to listen, right? If you're the owner of a business, you're trying to promote the business, then a little synopsis of what the business is and how you started, right? Your founding story. And then some statistics about you, some good stats, like I've got 10,000 followers, or right, I've served 5,000 clients over the last 30 years. Okay, great. Put that in your media kit, right? So you're going to want that media kit because it's a bit like your resume when you go to try to get something published. You give that media kit to you email it these days, right? You email it to the reporter and along with your story, right? So now there's two ways that I have found to be really successful in getting reporters to pay attention to what you have to say. My favorite one and the easiest one is called HARO. It's short for Help a Reporter Out. Okay, if you just
Oh,
type in helpareporter.com, it's a platform, and it was actually brilliant. I don't know who came up with this, but it was brilliant. It's a platform where reporters meet sources of stories. So you obviously would be a source, right? So you go up there and you click on I am a source, and it has you sign up, right? And then reporters 3 times a day, they send HARO what their editor is asking them for. So like, I need a story about, you know, 5 reasons why women should not wear high heels. Okay, fine. So like, they'll go, I don't know 5 reasons, right? So they'll go to HARO and they'll ask, hey, does anybody know 5 reasons why women should not wear high heels? And if you're a source and you happen to be like a foot doctor or something, you could go, oh yes, here are the 5 reasons, and then you get published, right? Super
oh
simple,
wow.
completely free, and you're doing them a favor and they're doing you a favor.
That is super neat.
Yeah, it's my favorite way. And like I said, it's free to sign up. You get these emails in your inbox, and you can either choose to read them and find something that matches your business and talk about it, or you can just be like, I don't want to today, and delete it. So that's one way. The other way, which is a little bit harder but can sometimes be very rewarding, is to actually do what I called before pitching a story, where you write the article you would like them to publish, and then you send them a little email that just says, hey, I have a story, here's my suggested headline for this story, here's what it's about, here's who I am, and then you attach your media kit and the story itself, and you ship that off to the person. You can
Wow.
find the name of the editor of any newspaper or any blog or anything like that by just scrolling to the bottom, right, of their page. And it'll usually say, like, contact us or advertise with us or something like that. And you can actually find the names of any of these editors. So you want to address them by name, like, hey, dear Ryan, I have an idea for a live video with you, and I'd love to talk to you about it. My idea is blah, 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 blah. Right? Keep it really short. If you want more information, I've attached the story. Please contact me at this phone number. Does that make sense? Like, keep it super short and simple and polite, right? And if they're interested or they're having a slow day, they'll publish it for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's mind blowing. I was sucked in what you were talking about there. All the time, like literally, like this is the coolest. This is the coolest webinar I've actually been a part of, but also I've actually like received a bunch of information from, and I think it's very vital. And I do think that people should be still writing notes. There's a lot of people that are watching. They must be just absorbing the data, not commenting. But if you guys have any questions, please do send them in the comment section. I have many.
Well, like I said, I do this for a living. So if you want some training on the subject, just contact me and I will absolutely train you how to do this. One of my clients the other day, he got a video, got picked up. He created a video about his practice, and it got picked up by a local news channel, played on the 6 o'clock news. Another one got published by it's like a newspaper that, not a newspaper, a magazine that particularly is in his industry, right? So that was really exciting for him. Happens all the time, and it's not hard to learn, right? It's not hard to learn. It is better if you have someone who knows what they're doing, so you don't make a fool of yourself the first day, right?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I love that. This is amazing. Okay. Cool. I'm so happy that you're here. That's so cool.
Thanks a lot. Okay, so what you see on the screen for you guys is actually the next topic I want to talk about, which is how to do good market research. Oftentimes I've had people come to me asking, like, hey, I want to start my own business, or I want to start a side hustle. This message is for you, okay? If you've already got your business and it's rolling, just ignore the next couple seconds, okay? So if you're in that position where you're just starting to do something, or you're in the position where, like, your business is basically dead at this point because of thanks COVID, right? And you are trying to figure out what to do next, these tips are going to save you so much time and money. Because the first error I see people make is try to decide what they want to do rather than trying to decide which of their interests best matches what is needed in the world, right? So there's this drill that I like to do with my clients, and I don't have a whiteboard right now. Actually, I might have a whiteboard. Hold that thought.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get my whiteboard to show up here. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, here. Okay. Da da da.
Woohoo!
Here's this drill I want you to do, okay? We got
Okay.
a circle here. Can you see that circle?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And then there's another circle here. See how they cross in the middle?
Yeah.
Okay, so these are all of your interests. All the things you like, you're good at, you enjoy doing, the things you would not mind doing every single day for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
These are all the needs in the world, the things that people need and would pay for, right? The solutions they're looking for. Somewhere the two cross, right? I call it finding the sliver between you and the world, right? Because that sliver is where you will make money, right? There's going to be plenty of things you like to do that you would never make money at. There's going to be plenty of things you could make money at that you would hate doing. Don't do those things, right? What we've got to do, right, and this is where life coaching comes in, this is how I help my clients, is we find that sliver. So people, here's the second common mistake that people make, is they try to find this sliver by meditation. They try to find this sliver by prayer, or like think. That's not the way to find that sliver, because remember, it's not just about what you need and want, it's also about what the world needs and wants. So there has to be a balance, right? Like you can pray, you can meditate, you can do whatever you want to find out this part, right? But there will come a moment when the rubber hits the road, and you've got to do some market research to make sure that this is something that will be profitable for you long term, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally does. It's like a whole different viewpoint, and it's neat because it's kind of cool. You're finding that sliver between you and the world, and I think that's like such a cool. It's like a big viewpoint. It's a big mindset, which is cool.
That's cool. Yeah. So I actually teach a class that you can buy online on my website about how exactly to do this, how to find what is going to be best for you and all of your, right? We call them dynamics, all the different urges of life that you have, right? And then also how to do the market research end of it so that you can actually make sure this can be profitable. Like for myself, for example, I've published 4 books now. One of them is an award-winning book. I love writing books, but I can make, I can work on a book for months and finally get it out, get it published, get everything else, and then make like $3 or $4 for every book I sell. Or I can do consulting, right? And make several thousand. So it's like, which one do I enjoy doing more? Probably writing. Honestly, I love writing children's stories, but it's not the most profitable thing I can do. So for me, when I did this exercise, I decided that I'm going to keep writing over here and not try to make it my life's income, right? I'm going to make the income I need to do the charitable works I like to do and to have the time and space to go off and write a book whenever I want to, right? For some people, that would be a totally wrong decision. But for me, that made sense. So it's going to be an individual thing, but you have to do this step of it if you're going to be successful.
Wow.
That was one thing I wanted to really emphasize with people today is, with everything that's going on right now, really do the market research, because the market itself has changed so much in the last few months, right? So many things and so many needs have changed. So you really, if you've done this before, it might even be a good idea to do it again.
Wow. That's so cool. Yeah, it's neat to see that you're addressing the situation, and you're addressing the situation. We've had people on in the past, on this on the truth movement, that have also stated that the economy is changing, things are changing, whatever. But it's cool that you said exactly what we should be focusing on the most, and I think that's really, really cool. So I wanted to say thank you so much for that, because I think you just added that onto what we've been getting so far, and I think you just like made it official, and that's kind of cool.
Cool. Thanks. All right. Do you want to do one more slide? I think we've got time for that.
Yeah, it's 11:36, I believe.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so one of the ways I like to do market research is actually to do competitor research, because realize it's true. You can sometimes come up with something that no one has ever thought of before and go out there and start from absolute zero and make it, right? Like plenty of people have done that. Look at Facebook, look at Google, right? Like no one had ever done those things before. But in this day and age, one of the easiest ways to start a business is to have your own unique angle on something that people are already used to buying, right? So that's where competitor research really comes in handy. Because, like, for instance, you decide you want to become a life coach, or you decide you want to become a hairdresser. Obviously, those things have existed for a very long time, right? Although we didn't call it life coach, minister, consultant, all these things of just helping other people has existed since time began. So it's not so much that you're trying to find something completely new. You're actually trying to figure out what are your competitors doing and how can you do it a little differently and maybe hopefully a little better, right?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of tools I have on there, and again, I have to squint to remember what I wrote there. Yeah, so first of all, finding your top competitor. Maybe not necessarily your top local competitor, right? Like we don't need to find out who's the best salon in town, but who's the best salon in the US, right? Who's the most successful? And then look at what are they doing on social media? What does their website look like? What does their office look like, right? And what we're trying to do is, this is what a professional does, is they observe how the perfect person is doing it, right? The one who does it the best, the ideal scene that could be, and they compare it to what they have now and find ways to move what you have now towards a more ideal, right? But if you don't have in your mind a picture of what that ideal would look like, then it can be very difficult sometimes to figure out what exactly is wrong with what you've got now, right? You have to have something to compare it to. So that's a really powerful thing sometimes, is just look at what is the best person doing and how can I, without losing my own brand voice, right? Without losing my integrity or my own personal identity or my brand identity, how can I move what I'm doing closer to that ideal scene? Does that make sense?
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, I'm looking at my notes here. Hey guys. Right. Okay. So then another great way to learn a little bit about your competitors is to use the site called similarweb.com. In similarweb.com, you can actually put your competitor's website in there and then put your own website in there and you can compare the two. But what I like the most about similarweb.com is actually not just the comparison of the websites themselves. It's you can see what kind of traffic your competitor's website is getting. And this is mostly helpful if you're trying to do an online business. But let's face it, right? Right now is the perfect time to be looking at an online business anyway, or shifting to one if you don't have it. So if you go on similarweb.com and you put your competitor's website in there, it will tell you if they're running Google ads. It will tell you if they're running Facebook ads, where they're getting their traffic from. Are they getting it from third-party endorsements, right? Like Forbes magazine is sending 1,000 people to their website every day. And that may give you some good ideas of how you can promote, or it might show you where they're not promoting, right? Like let's take Petco. Let's just say you are like starting a dog boutique store, and obviously your biggest competitor is Petco. There's no way you're gonna have the budget to match them or over and advertise, right? Because they're a corporate chain, they're huge, they got probably tons of thousands of dollars to spend on advertising. And as your little boutique shop, you can't really compete with that. But what you could do is look at SimilarWeb and see the places where they're not advertising. That would show you a little hole in the niche where you could fit your business, right? And start getting some traffic because they're not using that one. So there's no competition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, so one of my favorite websites right there. Could you hit the next slide for me, Ryan?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Also, thank you so much for doing this. And I don't want to burn up all your time because I do know you have other things as well. So do let me know.
Not as much time as I have.
Yeah. Let me know if you need to cut off early. It's all good.
I think we're probably going to end here because this next subject is all about surveys and audiences. We covered a little bit of that before, and I don't have time to go into it too much deeper right now. But again, I will say, if you guys want some training, you want some help with this, just reach out to me. I am definitely available, and I would love to help you guys build your business.
Amazing. Well, here's the thing, guys. Sarah Nadler was here. She did an amazing webinar. I mean, this was insane for her to do this. I mean, she normally charges for this. And I just want to thank you very, very much for letting us show this on here and doing it with you and having you back for the second time, which I think was great. And I wanted to say thank you so much for being here. And if there's anything else you'd like to say before we end, that's super cool. And also, everybody needs to go visit sarahnicolenadler.com to get more information and to support everything that she does and support yourself.
Thanks, Ryan. And the last thing I want to say is what Ryan is doing is super important. Anything you can do to support his movement is powerful. It's going to actually change the world, and I seriously believe that. So thank you for having me today, Ryan. That was really great.
Thank you for being on here, and thank you for accepting the invite. I love it. And I want to say to everybody who just watched this, you can go ahead and replay it. It's going to be on Facebook. We're going to share it everywhere. And Sarah, I really do appreciate it. Super appreciate you, and let you go because you have a busy schedule. Sarah is booked all throughout this week, which is insane. So let's do it. All right.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
See you next time. Bye.